Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. I am Barbara. I'm in Tennessee in Zone B, and thank you for meeting me in the garden today. So I'm behind the house and y'all have a special surprise for you. I was out here minding my gardening business, right? Watering my stuff, and I came across a surprise. Let me show you. Look, y'all, look at this. The size of my face. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about these sweet potatoes. Okay. So, I was out here watering the garden. I was about to go back in the house. I was watering the sweet potatoes, and I noticed they had started dying back. And I said, okay, I'll probably water today through this weekend, and then I'm going to hold off on the watering because it'll be time to harvest in a couple of weeks. So, these sweet potatoes were planted on June the 4th. The harvest date that I had in mind was September the 12th, and that is 100 days from June the 4th. So let me kind of give you the backstory on the sweet potatoes. I usually plant my sweet potatoes in my high tunnel. That's where I've done them for the past 3 years. And if you've been here during that time, you know that there has been a journey with these sweet potatoes. The first year, like many gardeners, I didn't yield much. The second year, not so much. And then I finally figured out a better way to do my sweet potatoes so that I was getting better yields and better, not better yields, but bigger potatoes. And so what I used to do in the beginning was I would plant my sweet potatoes, and I would always buy sweet potato slips, and I would plant them probably like 12 inches apart, and I would kind of fill up one whole raised bed. And I would harvest them around 80 days or so. Not 80 days, probably more like 70 to 80 days. And so what was happening was I was getting potatoes, but they were real small and tiny. Let me show you, kind of like I was getting them and they were similar to like this, maybe a little bit bigger. So I would have, a basket full, mostly, slender, this size or a little bit bigger. And then I would have a couple of big ones, and that would be it. So what I started doing a couple of years ago, I think this will be the third year, maybe the second year that I tried it. So I started planting my sweet potato slips further apart, like 18 to 24 inches. So instead of me crowding the bed, I had less potato slips in a bed. I want to say last year I may have done 15 sweet potato slips in a 4x8 bed. And then I started letting my sweet potatoes hang out in there longer. And usually I will harvest after 100 days. That way it gives them time and size to get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And then I stop watering usually a week or two before I know I want to harvest. Because a lot of times with root crops, you don't want to water up until the day that you harvest because it may deteriorate the skin and all of that. So as I was out here watering this morning, I'm thinking, okay, they're starting to die back. And I saw purple flowers like maybe a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I'm thinking, okay, we're cooking, we're moving. And then even last week, I saw like a potato sticking up through the ground, which I thought, okay, that's odd. Usually I don't see them like poke up through the ground at this stage. And so as I was out here watering, I'm telling myself, okay, water through this weekend and then let's dive back and then we'll start checking for harvest in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Well, y'all, as I was watering, I kept seeing something like orange and I'm like, what is this? So I pulled it back and lo and behold, it was this sweet potato right here. Do you see? I'm like, oh, you ready? Oh, you ready? And so the one plant that I pulled up had these, I guess 4 or 5 on it. So this is a nice size one as well. That's just from one plant. Now we're going to go ahead and harvest the rest of these potatoes and see if we have even more success. So I thought I would turn on the camera and bring you along with me. I was not going to do a video today, but I wasn't expecting to get sweet potatoes either. So we're going to go on a treasure hunt and see what sweet potatoes we have. And then also on this particular bed, the difference with this is that my whole bed is not planted in sweet potatoes. So I'm not necessarily looking for the size harvest that I normally get, because normally I plant a whole 4x8 bed of sweet potato slips. Well, this year I was a little behind and I couldn't, by the time I planted these on June the 4th, I could not find any more sweet potato slips. So I think I only planted 2 rows and then the rest of the bed were green beans. And out of the slips I had, I want to say I maybe had 8. I had to go back to the video. I don't remember, but it's like 8 It wasn't more than 10. So only half of the bed is planted. So we may not get, we're probably not going to get what we normally get, but we're going to have some sweet potatoes, which is good. And I told you, y'all, the only thing that's not going to grow is what you don't plant. That's what's not going to grow. Whatever you don't plant is not going to grow. But if you put it in the ground, at least take the chance. Sometimes you may be on the edge of being too late. You may be on the edge of, oh my goodness, this is not the best condition. I mean, if you already have it in your hand, a seed, a plant, a transplant, go ahead and plant it, because you never know what can happen. So even though I don't have the whole bed, instead of me waiting and just not doing anything, I planted half the bed. So let's go see what we got. So I don't know if you can see here, they are starting to die back some. And again, this is also a different location. I've never planted out here in the back of my house before, but I was out of space in my tunnel, so that's why I did that. So let me, and y'all, I couldn't find my trowel. I couldn't find anything, because I wasn't even supposed to be doing this. So let us try to tangle. Let's see. Yeah, I'm so unprepared, but you know what? Sometimes it's just not ideal. It's not ideal, because I really am supposed to be doing something else right about now. But I'm out here watering, and now I'm harvesting sweet potatoes. So I'm gonna have to rearrange my morning. Let's see. Trying to separate and see what's what. It's like potatoes are like one of my favorite things to harvest, because you don't know what you have until you start digging, right? So normally I would have like a trowel. I would have something. There's one. I would have like a trowel. There's another one. Those are pretty good size. Normally I would have like a trowel and all of that. And I would have something, my pruners, to snip these vines back. But I don't have time for that. And I'll come back out here, you know, clean the bed up and all of that stuff. But let's just do an initial harvest and see what we have. That's a weird shaped one, but it'll eat. There's another one. It's like a treasure hunt, y'all. It's like a treasure hunt. So we're just doing like an initial look. Let's go over here on this side in the front. And the variety that I planted are Beauregard. And I've pretty much settled. That's a small one, but it'll still eat. Whoa. Look at that beauty. Look at that, y'all. Look. This ground is hard. The ground is hard. I do need something that's going to give me a little bit more arm strength. But y'all know, what is a woman to do? She's just going to keep going and do the best that she can. I wanted to tell you this. The variety of plant slips that I did are Beauregard. I have done these every single year. I've also done Georgia Jet, and I've also done, I don't remember the other two, but I'm pretty settled at this point. After doing this for 4 years, Beauregard is my sweet potato. Like, that's the one that I like. I don't get into all those colors, the blue and the purple, because I'm not going to eat that. I don't want a purple or a blue potato. I don't want any of that. If that's what you like, do you. But I don't want that, so I don't plant them. And because y'all know I like color, but you're not going to be able to see it because it's in the ground. But Beauregard is my sweet potato. Like, it performs every single year on some level. So that's pretty much my official sweet potato slip, is Beauregard. Let's see, y'all. Okay, y'all, my back hurt, but we have potatoes. I am sure there are more in there. All I did was get the initial ones that I could. I didn't have anything to dig with. My husband can't help me right now, so I have to get him to come back out here and do a second dig. But I believe I got the majority of them, and I'm going to show you what we got in just literally 2 rows of space in a 4x8 bed. Again, this is not sweet potatoes to last the whole year, but we do have sweet potatoes at least for a few meals. So let me show you. Oh, this basket is heavy. Look at that. Yes. And most of them, as you can see, are a very good size. So this is what I've learned. Instead of crowding the bed, space your sweet potato slips out. Give them time before you harvest them. And again, even though I had in my calendar 100 days, which would have been September the 12th, they were ready. Now, if I left them in there, would some of them have gotten bigger? Yeah, some of them would have. But I would say out of this whole basket that I have, I would say 80% of them are big, a nice size that you would buy at the grocery store. There's 20% that are smaller that could have gotten bigger. But I also noticed I threw a couple away because I noticed it looked like it had been eaten on the bottom. So not the part that I could see on the top, but at the very bottom. So I don't know if it rotted, if something was down there eating it. So sometimes you run the risk of, if you know that you may have a pest damage or if they're not looking as great, it's better to go ahead and pull it early so that you get some harvest versus leaving it in there and you end up with no harvest and they're all bad. So I threw away 2 just because they didn't look, the bottom was like it was eaten. And I'm sure maybe I could have let it cure and then cut that part off, but I'm good. If the pest's been on it, they can have it. I'm good. So for these, I probably will not, I will put them to cure, but they're not going to make it that long. We'll eat these probably for the end of the year, especially with the holidays coming up. We can make sweet potatoes, sweet potato pie, all that good stuff. So I'm thankful for the harvest. And each year I've only done 1 raised bed because that's the space I had, but I'm thinking I may want to do 2 beds next year. We'll see. And I got to get early on my sweet potato slips. So I think next year I'm going to try to do 2 beds so I can get sweet potatoes for a year. I've never had enough sweet potatoes for a year, but if you do grow sweet potatoes and you want to cure them, you cure them very similarly to onions and garlic. Just put them in a cool, dry place for like 2 to 3 weeks to let the skin toughen up. And then once the skin toughens up, then you can store them like in a root cellar, in a basement, in a cool, dark place, and they'll last for at least a good 6 to 9 months. These right here, I'm going to go ahead and put them out there to cure. But like I said, I'm not too specific about it. Like some of them I've already kind of rinsed off and gotten some of the initial dirt off because some of them were wet because I had just watered. But ideally, if you're going to cure them, you wouldn't soak them with water and get them all wet. You would just kind of, dust the dirt off, just like you would onions and garlic. Put them in a cool place and let them cure for like 2 to 3 weeks so their skin can toughen up. So can you eat these now? Yeah, I can go in here and I can eat these now. The skin is going to be thin, and to me, it doesn't have the most intense flavor. I like them better after they've cured, even though you could go in here and slice it up and eat it right now. But when they cure, the sugars start to develop, and to me, they get sweeter. I don't plan on eating these in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to go out here, let them cure. And like I said, I think we have enough to get us through. To get us through the end of the year. Look at that. This basket is, oh, you're trying to come off, buddy. Okay. That basket is heavy. I'm so excited. Again, y'all, I tell you all the time, seeds want to grow. What does my shirt say? Grow it now. Grow it now. Grow it now. Stop second guessing yourself. Put it in the ground at the right time and at the right season, and it will grow. It will. And I could have been waiting to get more slips and then let the slips that I had bought die and get in bad shape to where they wouldn't be planted. But I went ahead and planted the ones that I had, and I'm able to yield a harvest. Maybe not as much as I wanted, but I have more that I didn't have to buy from the store. And if I were to go buy this from the store, if I had to guess, this is probably, I'm trying to remember when I picked it up. This is at least, I would say 7 or 8 pounds of sweet potatoes, easily. And I didn't have to buy them. I grew them with my own hands. So thank you guys for meeting me in the garden today. Let me know if you're doing sweet potatoes in your garden, if you've already harvested yours, if they look good. And let me know if there's another particular kind. There is another sweet potato slip that I want to try called, I think it's called Evangeline, that I've seen and heard from others that I wasn't able to get my hands on this year. But other than that, Beauregard is my sweet potato. It's the official sweet potato of Living Foods Farm. But let me know about your sweet potatoes and what you're planting. And remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.